Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Here we are with our final live chat of the year. Of the year. Wow. I'm not going to say the year went by fast. I'm not going to say it went by slow. I'm just going to say that we're at the end. Let me get my chair better. We're at the end. And it's been a great year. I know that there have been ups and downs. All of us have experienced those ups and downs, but we got here. And I want to take a moment, just a moment, to remember those that didn't make it to this day, our loved ones, our friends, whoever it might be, and just take a moment and remember them and bless them as they continue on their spiritual journey. Yes, yes. As you may know and you may not know, and let me help you out if you don't know, you are here with me. I'm Reverend R. Ken, and this is Unity of Chicago South. And this is something that we call Talking the Fifth. We have two virtual chats where we come together virtually. One is called the Virtual Book Club, and the other one is Talking the Fifth. Talking the Fifth comes every fifth Sunday, and there's about four fifth Sundays in the course of a year. And of course, we're here now at the final fifth Sunday of 2021. Happy New Year's Eve morning to all of you that are here with us. As you know, when we get to this, we usually have to have kind of a paper notes because we're covering a book that we should have read because we offer that material on our website for free, digital download. So if you haven't done so, you might want to download it even though we're going to complete it today. This is part 2 of the Beatitudes as found in Sermon on the Mount by author Emmett. So if you have it, you might want to get it because as you start the new year, as you start the new process of renewing yourself for the upcoming next 12 months, it's good to have some foundation that may be a little bit different than the foundation you've had in the past. And you might hear a little noise today. We've got a few things going on around here, so just bear with it as we go forward. I want to thank Reverend Dr. Stephanie and Reverend Bonnie for their Christmas Eve Divine Feminine presentation. It is available on the website by the end of the day. If you did not catch it last Sunday, you want to check that out. Reverend Bonnie was live, and as usual, Reverend Dr. Stephanie brought us some serious meat to chew on and to digest as we want to be our best as we go forth into the new year. You can check us out on the website at unityocs.org. Also, I hope that if you've been with us one Sunday, a bunch of Sundays, however it might have been, or for the book chats or the live, whatever it may have been over the course of 2023, I hope that you're able to take some of the information that you got, like last Sunday with Reverend Stephanie, as she comes every Divine Feminine Sunday and gives meat that we can implement into our lives. Because you see, sitting back just talking about this stuff, just thinking about this stuff, just meditating on this stuff doesn't get this stuff into your beingness where you live this stuff and allow this stuff to live through you. So we need to implement something. So if you found a prayer, if you found a meditation, if you found a saying, a quote, an exercise, then take that forward with you and see how it can help improve your life. Yes, improve your life. The people that have contributed throughout the year, I want to give them a big heads up. Reverend Dr. Stephanie, Reverend Bonnie, Reverend Bobby, and I even want to give myself a little pat on the back. and all the poets and authors that we've used their material to, again, attempt to bring you some positivity that you can hold on to. This is a place you come to get something that you can live by and with. If you want entertainment, sometimes I might have a corny joke or two, but for the most part, this is about how can I live a better life? How can I live a fuller life? And we hope to do this because as we do this for you, we get it ourselves. Not one of us can give you a lesson, a meditation, a cosmic meditation, or a schedule to do things, or without it touching us. And it changes us just a little bit, maybe, and sometimes it changes us a lot. This is true. But again, thank you. Thank you for helping make us the number one online New Thought spiritual community streaming for Chicago. We appreciate that. Without you being there, I don't care if it's 50, 100, 1,001, as long as a message is leaving us, getting to you, then we're number one. That's what we do. That is what we do. And I want to take time for a poem today that I feel kind of encapsulates where we're going in the new year. And sometimes we feel like, well, it doesn't matter. Nothing's going to change. You know, I am in this situation, whatever it may be, mental, physical, or spiritual even. And I've tried and I've tried and I've tried, and I just give up. And look if someone says they've never been there, then I'd like to meet them. Because I believe all human beings have at some time just felt like the walls were closing in, let us say. Felt like, man, I don't know how I'm going to go any further. I don't know I'm going to keep on making it, you know? So don't feel alone. Don't feel alone, but don't feel lost and don't feel defeated. And I hope this poem today helps you kind of understand your positivity and your potential. Yes. This is a book from Unity Poems, quite a few wonderful authors. And today's author is Frank B. Whitney. And the name of his poem is Beginning Again. It matters not what may befall. Beyond all else, I still hear the call. You can begin again. My courage rises when I hear God's voice allay the thought of fear. And when it whispers gently meet, you can begin again. When once quiet, all the world seemed wrong. Throughout its din, I heard its song. You can begin again. An inner joy within me stirred. I treasured each assuring word. My heart was lifted when I heard you can begin again. Begin again? Another chance? Can even I make an advance? Yes, you can begin again. Being at once by taking heart. Begin at once by taking heart and knowing God of you, its part. New life to you, it will impart. You can begin again. I thought that was just so appropriate for where we are and where we want to go. And sometimes it just feels, like I said, overwhelming. And how can I? But we can begin again. So hold on to that. So if you need the poem, this will be up sometime during the week on our website. And you can go over and look at it, or you can look it up. Frank Whitney, Begin Again. And I also want to remind you that there is an infinite source available to everyone that allows us to begin again. It's here for each who seek it, no matter their race, religion, gender. Believe whatever you may, but you should know. You should know that the source of the universe is also the source of each of us. Therefore, if you leave with nothing else, I can begin again. You can begin again because I am open. You are open and receptive to the divine living principle, Father, Mother, God. We are thankful. This is our declaration. This is our truth. And as we accept it, so it becomes. And all is well, and well indeed. Well, now we continue with the exploration of the spiritual interpretation of the Beatitudes as they are presented in the Sermon on the Mount by Emmett Fox. And as I mentioned earlier, it's available on our website, free. I say that's so important because that book I have found no place else free on the website. You may find it, but I have found it no place else free on the website. And we're going to continue to keep it up there at least through the first month of 2024. Now, these Beatitudes are also found in Matthew 5:10 through 5:3 to 5:10, and you can find several of them in Luke 6:22. And today we're going to examine the final four. We went through the other four the last time on our virtual book club. The fifth one is, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Now, when we talk about the metaphysical interpretation, it emphasizes the importance of compassion, forgiveness, and kindness as pathways to expressing divine mercy and grace. Remember, this is all, if you weren't here 2 weeks ago, this is all about inner work. This is all about our consciousness. It's all about us within ourselves. It's not about anything out here other than whatever we bring in being expressed in our lives. Being expressed in our lives. And what he tells us here is that this, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. He says this is application to the realm of thought. To the realm of thought. He says the thing that really matters is that you be merciful in your thought. Think about that. Stop. Just pause for a moment. Be merciful in your thought. Well, I do kind things, even though I don't believe in them, even though I don't think about the people that do. I just, because I'm a kind person. He says, yeah, that's fine, but you may be missing the benefits because it doesn't come from how you're thinking. It's not how you're just acting. It's how you're thinking and allowing your thinking, your thoughts to impact your actions. He gives us an example here. He says, what if I tell people about themselves because I believe it will help them? He says, understand that we're one. And if you are judging someone there, you are judging yourself. And that you have a responsibility, that I have a responsibility, that we have a responsibility. And that responsibility is, if we understand the power of the spiritual idea of the Christ truth, the responsibility is that we have to share, we have to give it to others, and we can't evade that. We can't get around that. I know it, but you're not worthy. You can't know it and think I'm not worthy. You might think I'm in a dark place right now. You might think I need some help right now, but you can never think that I'm not worthy. That's a hard one. That's a hard one. But what am I worthy of? What am I worthy of? I am worthy to be seen as a child of God. I'm worthy to be seen as the Christ in expression. I'm worthy to be seen so many things, no matter how much you like or dislike me possibly, or anyone. See them at the truth of their essence. He says here an example of judging the action and accepting the Christ's presence in a person. That's what we're trying to do. Okay, this action you did, this horrible act that you did, I, I, I understand, but I still know that you're an expression of Christ. Your actions don't show it, but that's what you are. It makes no difference. Now, you may be punished for your actions. You may have to serve penance for your actions, but in the core of you, the base of you has to be the Christ consciousness, because that is what we all are, you see. Some of us just don't know how to do that. But when we get to that level that we can separate the actions from the actuality, the reality of a person having to be the Christ consciousness and expression, having to be a piece of God and expression, having to be that, at that point, we are approaching the door of full forgiveness. What do you mean? You see, once we are able to show mercy, period, show mercy, period, not to you, but to you, but mercy, period, we're able to show it to our most important person. We're able to show it to ourselves. And that means we put ourselves in a position to forgive ourselves. And oh my God, when we're able to forgive ourselves, we open up a whole plethora of opportunities of advancement and growth. So the mercy that you give to others, understand you're also receiving it from yourself as you give it to others. And the more you receive it, at some point it's going to break down that barrier that's within you that says, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy. It's going to break it down. And when it breaks it down, you open that plethora of opportunities of healing and wholeness. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Oh my goodness. Metaphysically, Christianity teaches that purity of heart involves a state of inner clarity, sincerity, and alignment with divine love, establishing a deeper communion with God. Okay, let's deal with that. Deeper communion with God, an alignment with divine love. Now, I don't know what you may have thought about that in the past. I don't know how you may have seen it in the past, but let's take another look at it. He says here, Fox says here, we're talking about to see in this sense refers to spiritual perception. Not the pictures, spiritual perception. To be able to see God with your eyes closed. You're not given an image of God in your mind. You're allowing the image of God to come into your mind. He says, and spiritual perception means just that capacity to appreciate the true nature of being. And that's what we lack. That's what impedes our progress into full expression of the divinity that we are. Spiritual perception. Blessed are the pure of heart. Pure of heart is talking about that spiritual perception. Because when you have that, you'll see God. You'll see the divine. You'll be in that realm of heaven, because he says heaven is the religious name for the presence of God. And heaven is infinite. Well, God did this for me. I won the lottery, but I guess God's finished with me. He says it's infinite. Whatever good has happened in your life, there's more that you can have if you can hold that vision of the presence of God everywhere all the time. Then he reminds us this thing about heaven is the realm of spirit, substance without age or discord or decay, a realm of eternal good. And yet to our distorted vision, everything is aging, decaying, wearing out, getting born only to die, blossoming only to fade. So we have two perceptions here. We have, if I get this perception of heaven, I can release the perception that I'm living in. Do you understand how difficult, how challenging this is? This is not some little, I read this thing and boom. It's just as challenging. It's like, yeah, I'm going through some stuff, but in this heaven consciousness, whatever you're going through is already healed, is already done, is already performed. So it is about releasing the perception of the lack of God and knowing and seeing and feeling the presence of God in the midst of. I'm not, man, this is, whoo, sisters, brothers, let me say this. It sounds so beautiful, doesn't it? And it sounds like, who wouldn't want this? Who wouldn't want this? But don't fool yourself. Don't think by clicking your heels 3 times it's going to happen. It takes some good spiritual work to get it done. But the beauty is it can be done. He says the fall of man is because we're looking at the situation that we're in. And it many times looks so dire, like how am I ever going to get out of this, whatever it may be, as opposed to understanding and then turning our vision, inner vision, and the perception to God's presence, even in this mess. God is present. If God is present, if heaven is present, then all of this mess is already taken care of. How do I connect with the taking care of part of this mess and let go of the mess as it is? How do I do that? How do I do that? By overcoming the limitations that we have, by continuing to overcome them. He reminds us that it's not going to happen probably in one fall swoop. You know? Let's go take up. I'm better today. Oh, I slipped. Oh, I'm better today. Oh, I slipped. Oh, I'm better today. It's a process, as Reverend Herb Laster used to say. It's a process, baby. But it can't be reached until we understand that it is. So whatever I'm going through, there is better already. I have to accept that. It's already better. And I don't have to die. I don't have to go through a transition to get to the better. I have to go through a transition of spiritual understanding and spiritual seeing and spiritual feeling the presence here. That's the transition that's required for me as I go through this experience called life. I'm just saying. And then he gives us this wonderful paraphrased statement of that attitude. Blessed are those who recognize God as the only real cause and the only real presence and the only real power, not merely in a theory or formal way, but practically and specifically and wholeheartedly beyond the books. I know there's a presence greater than me, and that presence is good. I already know that. I can't tell you about it. I don't know how to describe it to you. I just know it's there. It's like it was always in me to know that it was there. We're not talking theory here. We're getting past the theoretical. We're moving into the experience of, in my thoughts, in my words, and my actions indicate that I understand that it's present. And he goes on to say, and not merely in some part of their lives, but in every nook and corner in their lives and mentalities, keep nothing back from God. Don't, this the good stuff. I got this. No. Hey, I get up this morning, I go to bed at night. I know that power within me, that Christ consciousness within me already has it. And I'm here to connect with it. I'm here to clear my heart up. So I only recognize the good in the midst of all things. This is, again, we could talk this SHIT. You know, we could talk it, we can preach it, we can get on the corner, we can put some music to it, but the real deal is we have to work it till it becomes us if we want the full benefit. And if we fall short, let's say we get 70% of it, do you understand what life does at that point for us? 70% of the truth I'm living in my life? My goodness. Everything he says, bring everything into the goodness of God. He says his will, its will. And if they do that, they shall overcome all limitations of time, space, and matter and carnal mind and realize and enjoy the presence of God forever. Okay? I'm on the path to touching the hem of the garment. I'm on the path of full recognition of the Christ consciousness within me. I'm on the path, and I choose to stay on that path. And there is nothing in my life, nothing in my experience that I do not hold accountable to that path. What am I saying? What you're saying, Rev? I got a broke toenail. I know God is present and it's all good. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't hurt me? The heck it does, probably. That's not the point. The point is the pain is there, but I want to focus on the presence of God there. And don't start, well, it wouldn't be no pain if it wasn't no God. I mean, if God was there, it wouldn't be no pain. Why God got me going through pain? No, remember, there's two experiences happening at the same time. It's not duality. It's two experiences happening at the same time. One of them we are aware of, that toe hurts. The other one is still happening, but it's our awareness that makes the difference. God is there. Has to be. Just saying. Just saying. You see the Beatitudes any different? I don't know. He said, note that Jesus speaks of the pure at heart, the word heart in the Bible. Some of you metaphysicians and students of metaphysics know that means the subconscious mind. That means the subconscious mind, below the conscious mind. And then he gives us just a major key. It is not until it is accepted by the subconscious mind and thus assimilated into the whole mentality that it can make any difference in one's character and life. So all this reading and studying and classes in church that I've been going through, and I haven't seen any changes, I'm ready to get this stuff up. I'm ready to get back to singing and dancing in church on Sunday because that's where the joy is. I ain't mad at you. Don't be mad at yourself. The reason it's not happening is because in my subconscious mind, I will not accept the presence of God is heaven, and that heaven exists right now, and it has always existed and always. I haven't accepted it in my subconscious, and so therefore it cannot come into my experience. It can't. I've accepted the trouble, I've accepted the pain, I've accepted the defeat, I've accepted the failure, it can keep coming in my life. I am not drawing it. I am aware of it and allow it because I'm aware of it. That's the law. Now, if I become aware of the presence of God and the nature of God, the true nature, not the nature of some fictional crazy stuff, if God is always good, then it doesn't matter what I'm going through. There's some goodness there. I may not recognize that goodness, so I need help in recognizing it because I know it's there. Come on now. We're talking about the Beatitudes, right? And then he closes it out with this one, which I thought was really great. If you've ever gone through therapy, and if you run into some issues, there's just all kind of good therapy out there. There's the doctors and there's the spiritual therapy. There's stuff out there to help us. It's out there. He says the modern psychologists, in their effort to re-educate the subconscious, they have the right idea, though they have not discovered the true method of doing so. I'm gonna give it to you. I would suggest you go and download the book if you want to read the whole thing. The method of doing so he describes here is by scientific prayer, or in other words, the practice of the presence of God. That's the healing factor for anything that we want. Rev, have you done that? Rev works on it regularly. We all going through a human experience, dog. You know what I'm saying? We're all going through it. But how do we get through it at the highest possible level? We're being told, understanding that the presence of God is there and having the right idea of God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. We walk around talking that peace thing, right? I'm peace, I'm peace, I'm peace. I saw a beautiful thing with one of my idols, Neil deGrasse, talking about peace and being pacifists and vegetarians and so forth. It was good. But this beatitude is seen as a call to activity to promote harmony, reconciliation, and unity. Now here's the kicker. Both within oneself and the world. So I cannot go to a mountain. I'm talking about practicing this stuff. I cannot go onto a mountain and be totally peaceful and cut myself off from the world. It is only when I go to the mountain, find my peace, come back into the world, and bring my peace back into the world that I am fulfilling my spiritual duty. I'm just saying. It's not me. I'm just saying this is just how we interpret this. Then he goes on to tell us, as a matter of fact, prayer is the only real action in the full sense of the word, because prayer is the only thing that changes one's character. A change in character or a change in soul is a real change. So if you have not been praying, what am I praying for? Well, based on this interpretation of these Beatitudes, I am praying for being aware and acknowledging, being able to acknowledge the presence of God, that heaven is right here, right now, in all things at all times. That I'm not being naive, that I'm going through a financial struggle right now. And I understand that I'm going through a financial struggle right now. But I also know and I understand and I accept the presence of God is within that financial struggle. It is within the finances. It is the finances. Then we want to get into some of us come from a place that is taught. And it is the struggle. God wants the struggle. So leave that stuff alone. Leave it alone. God is the finance. So how do I have God finance revealed to me? That's my prayer. That's my prayer. Wow. That changes the character, he says. Because once I start understanding and accepting and living from the fact that God is there no matter what, and I see the dirty and I see the ugly, but I also know that God is there. I'm not trying to trick myself. I'm not trying to say, I see it. I know it's there, but I also know that there's a deeper there. And that's the there that I connect with. I see all the other and I avoid it. I'm not going into a gunfight talking about, okay, I got God here and I'm okay. No, stay your ass out of that. I know what I see it. Stay out of it. But you still have to know that God is present. And once we are into that consciousness and living from that and our character begins to change, we'll know what to do without knowing what to do. We don't have to know. We can be guided. We can be led because I'm connected. You're connected. So I'm dealing with the connection to guide me, to tell me which way to go. Just like I'm asking for those lottery numbers, I'm also asking for direction on which way to go when I go to work, when I go to school, wherever I'm going, I want the same direction. Every aspect, remember, every aspect. He said, because the change caused by prayer is a radical one, Jesus referred to it as being born again. Have you ever heard that term, being born again? Mm-hmm. Since it makes you into a different person, it is actually as though you had been born again. I'm not the same person I was before I started realizing and accepting the presence of heaven right now in its infinite nature. All the good that I need is right there. I need to recognize it and connect with it consciously. I'm a different person now. My life is different. I see things differently. I am a new man. I am born new. Neville tells us that you never can be where you were. Since the reason they couldn't find Moses in the story, what truth was there is that, hey, once you change, you don't go back. You don't need to talk about that person, be that person anymore. The word prayer should be understood as including any form of communication or attempted communication with God, whether it be vocal or purely mental. Wow. So my thoughts, I can allow my thoughts to become prayers. Say, well, is every thought a prayer? Is every thought a prayer? What did I just say? I said, I can allow my thoughts to become prayers. What were we told? We need to understand the presence of God. So this thought without the presence of God is not a prayer. It's just some stuff that I'm putting in my mind that I'm going to have to get out later on if it's negativity. But when I think a thought, and I'm thinking that thought, knowing that this thought is in the presence of God right now, now I am in prayer. Now I am in prayer. I have said no words. I've gone into my closet and closed the door. And when I go in the closet and close the door, I'm making a conscious connection with God is present right here, right now, with all the goodness, with all heaven, with all the infinity of good and wonderfulness. And I allow my thoughts now to connect with that truth. See how it's working. He says the great essential for success in prayer, for obtaining that sense of the presence of God, which is the secret of healing oneself and others. The great essential for success in prayer is obtaining, he says, for obtaining that sense of presence of God. The presence of God is the healing part. If you've ever been in a healing service, and if you've ever been in a healing service, you might notice that the person leading that service talked about the presence of God being there. They may have used different words. They may have used Jesus. They may have used whatever. But it was about the presence of that, what they believed to be the highest consciousness being alive in that moment, in that time. And it was that releasing of that idea into the room, the amplification of that presence in the room that opened the door for healing. Oops. 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 Huh? I'm doing that intentionally because I know this is some, this is some weighted, I don't want to say heavy, this is some weighted spiritual consciousness building stuff that Fox is giving us. But remember, he's taking it from scripture. He's taking it from Matthew, and as I said earlier, some of us found in Luke. He's taking it from there, but he's breaking it down and saying, hey, let's go deep within these words and understand based on the terminology of the time, based on the consciousness of this Jesus person, based on all of this, let's go deep enough that we can get what we need out of it, because Jesus taught consciousness. That's what he said in part 1. Jesus taught consciousness. And so we're picking up on that Jesus taught consciousness. And if we want to follow Jesus, if that's what we want to do, and we want to raise the Christ within us, then it's about consciousness. So when you read the Beatitudes the next time, realize these are not words for somebody else. These are not words that are supposed to make me feel good. These are words that are supposed to change me. These are words that I'm taking in, that I'm digesting to change my whole spiritual anatomy. And now, the 8th. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Oh boy, I'm a warrior for Christ. You might have heard that, huh? A little coffee today. I'm a warrior for Christ. And I want to say that whether it's metaphysical or whether it's orthodox, you are right. You are absolutely right. And this is a wonderful example of the need for the source to be properly identified. What am I saying? First of all, let's go to our metaphysical interpretation emphasizes the courage to stand for truth and righteousness despite opposition, acknowledging the rewards of spiritual growth amidst challenges. We look around us and many of these folks that are spiritual or they represent a spiritual practice or religion, let us say. You got to stand up for Christ. You got to stand up for God. You got to be a warrior. Why? That's what I asked you. Why? We're saying omnipotence, omniscience, and omnipresence. Doesn't seem like it needs any help from me. So what might this stuff be about? Well, Fox tells us at the very beginning. Again, I encourage you to get the book before we take it down, because it will be taken down in the first month of 2024. Then you have to go someplace and buy it. But let me get back to this. Fox told us that the teachings of Jesus are for the individual, the inner individual, to release the Christ consciousness within that individual, as Jesus had already done. So it's saying Jesus has allowed the Christ within him to rise up into full expression to the point that it was Christ speaking through him, Christ teaching through him. And he said, well, this is how it's done. So he lets us know at the very beginning that he's talking about an internal journey within the individual. Now let's take that again and say, why does omnipresent, omniscient, omniscient, omnipotence need my help? It needs my help so it can rise forth in me. In me. Okay. I can go for that, but what about this persecution, and what about this being persecuted and reviled and you know and false, and what about all that? How you gonna rectify that? That's about the people doing this, coming at me with weapons and all this stuff, right? Whew. So Fox tells us, before I get to the big thing, he says that the peacemakers who do this, who pray and do this work, who are praying in meekness shall obtain prosperity and inherit the earth, have their mourning turned into joy, and that in fact whatever they shall ask the Father in the manner of this teaching, he will do. Okay. So if I'm just, meek and I just kind of beg, that's what some people take meekness as, a kind of beg, then it'll be all right. Well, Fox is telling that's not exactly what's going on here. So I'm going to give you what he says. He said, first of all, you have to understand that there are no outside persecutors. There are no outside persecutors. Okay. So I have a right to protect myself, to knock somebody out coming after me. I don't have to be meek in that, right? He says, no outside persecutor. He said, that's not what this is about. Remember, he said this teaching that Jesus taught in the Beatitudes is about an internal process that expresses, okay, externally. So as I become peace, I express peace and I give peace to the world. Okay, let's get that second part too. But only, no outside persecutor, but only our own lower selves. When we find righteousness or right thinking very difficult, when we are very strongly tempted to hold wrong thoughts about some situation or some person, or even about ourselves, when we give way to fear or anger or despondency, then we are being persecuted for righteous sake. And this is for us an extremely fortunate or blessed condition, for it is in such moments that we are really advancing. When that within us says, oh, hecky, no, I am not stopping that joyous thing that you've been doing that I like so much that is tearing us apart. And says, oh, no, you've touched it. You've got its attention. You said to that habit, you said to that issue, hey, I know what's up. And you got to go. And it says, oh, no. I've been here a long time. I'm staying here. It's going to be a fight. He says, at that point, you know you have touched it and change, evolution, conscious lifting is in play. He says it like this: every spiritual treatment or scientific prayer involves a tussle with our lower self. We have given it life. We have given the idea, whatever it may be, life as being important in our lives. Me going out every Tuesday night, even though I don't have no money, whatever it might be, we have given that life. It has taken that life. It's in our subconscious. I will make a way for it to happen. I don't care. We're going to do this. But when you turn around and say, you know, I could be reading Bible. I could be going to a spiritual class. I could be meditating. I'm not going to do that anymore. I say, well, hold it. Wait a minute. How you going to take this away from me? No. It's no fun. And then you try the meditation and you try to read and you try the class and you find all these challenges. I can't get there. The bus wasn't running. My car broke down. Nobody picked me up. Whatever it may be. It said, okay, that's the tussle. That's that lower idea trying to survive. And he said, that's good news because that means you have his attention. You have his attention. And then he finally says this as we're going to close this out. Note carefully. There's no virtue or advantageous, whatever, or advantage, excuse me. There's no virtue or advantage, whatever, in being persecuted or annoyed by anybody else outside of you. So don't be walking around saying, well, I'm just standing up here and being a floor mat for somebody else, and that's a good thing because I'm a good Christian. He said, no, it's the battle that's going on inside you, because it's the battle that's going on inside you that can change your character. And when you change your character, you change your life. That's the battle. And when you are aware that it's happening, when the struggle's going on, means you caught its attention and it's working. Whew, okay, we went over a little bit today, but this last day of the year, right? Last day of the year, if you're catching it live or if you catch it, later on, this is how we closed out 2023. I'm Reverend R. Ken, as you can see. And if you want to learn more about us, I want to give you that information as we close it down. There it is. You can find out more about what we do. You can come to our website, but more than that, you can take that number and text it, and you'll start a digital conversation with us that goes about 6 sessions. And after that, if you want to continue, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. We don't run you down. So with that said, I want everyone to be so safe tonight. I want everyone to just remember who they really are. No matter what your environment, no matter what's going on, no matter how much fun you have and how much champagne is flowing, you're still that wonderful spiritual being. You still are that Christ consciousness and expression. You still are that little piece of divinity walking this earth. Hold on to that and take that with you into the new year, the new day, and forevermore in your life. This is Reverend R. Ken saying thank you so much. Happy New Year! Until next time, our community, Unity of Chicago South says be safe, be happy, and be your true self. Namaste.